Boom. What up, guys? Welcome to Late Night Live. I believe this is episode 11. Chris, does that sound right to you?
Yep. I do believe this is episode
Man,
11.
time flies. Yeah, we're doing it. So tonight, we also got 8-Bit Gaming Legend is back from California.
Back home.
What up? And the amazing Eric the Great. You're back with us as well.
Indeed. Hola.
Yeah. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Yes.
Tonight, we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about Sidequest Expo. More on that. That interesting experience with you, Chris. It was probably the best, to hang with you, buddy. And
Yep.
are we getting priced out of video collecting? Like maybe this. I don't know. We'll get everyone's opinion on that. And then we can talk. Let's talk about what you guys are playing. I just want to start off with I downloaded Star Wars Battlefront, the collection, and I bought it. $30, 68 gigabytes, and
Wow.
man, that game is trash. It's trash. Man, you know what? Like they put that trailer on the Nintendo Direct. I think it got a lot of people hyped, and man, their servers were just trash. Asper or whatever that company that ported that game. It's like they made the menu and that was it. And the menu is just a static image, and it goes into both games. And you can play the single player really good. The single player is fine, but if you want to play that game, you need to play it multiplayer. And really, man, it was like stuttering all over the place when I finally got in the other night. They call it rubber banding, and not like the NBA Jam rubber banding. It's like when you're online and you're just moving. Once you get close to another player, you jump to that player, and then you jump away, and it's like you can't play like this. So, yeah, they've Asper's had releases, and it just they've had good and they've had decent ones, but this is just really bad, and it's like a money grab. So, really disappointing. That was $30 to drain. Hopefully,
I'm seeing 2 out of 10 on Steam rating, and there's a Forbes headline that says this is the 9th worst scored game ever on Steam. So yeah, it
could have been really
bad.
good. It could have been so good. 64 players online. Like, think of it. Like, this is 2024. 64 players. It's totally doable. But they didn't. It's like they didn't have the. I don't know if they had the tools or the people or they didn't have the money to invest it. But now hopefully they're trying to it now. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like it, but I hate the fact they're doing it after the fact that the game came out. That's how you do video games now. But yeah, that was my kind of my negative stuff for playing games. I did get MLB The Show today, so I've been having fun with that. But
what platform are you playing Battlefront on?
I got it on Xbox because I thought it might be stable, and I do a lot of multiplayer on Xbox.
Sure.
So, yeah. Anyway, Chris, do you play anything cool?
I started Final Fantasy VII Rebirth this week.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Yeah, it's I didn't play the demo when it came out, so I'm kind of having to go through and do everything from the beginning of this one.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of stuff I forgot from Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I do like the fact that it's more open world, But at the same time, like most open world games, I'm kind of like, do I go after like the side stuff or just do the main story quest? Like, is there going to be enough stuff
Yeah.
in the off to the sides to keep me entertained, or is it going to be one of those where I just want to do the main story? Because that was the
I
problem I
found
had
that
with the
that
Legend of
game.
Zelda.
Yeah. Oh,
The
go ahead.
Legend of
Sorry.
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was all the side stuff was so
Mhm.
interesting. I still haven't beaten the game because I'm still doing all the side stuff.
Sure.
So
Right.
Eric, have you finished that yet?
Yeah, I beat Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
Nice. You're probably the only one
I
that
mean,
did.
last time we were talking about it, you hadn't started it yet. The last time we talked.
Yeah, no, I did beat it, and I feel like I got through most of the side quests also. What I like about that game is that I could probably play it again and find 10 hours of stuff that I haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'll do that, but if I did, I'm sure there's like a lot of quests that I didn't even know were there, and I could find them and play them. I feel like the game that's most like that for me is probably Baldur's Gate 3. I could play that game again maybe 2 or 3 times and find a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys what your play style is with games like that. Do you feel like you have to be a completionist, or do you just power through the main part of the game, or does it depend on the game, or do you like to play over these things multiple times, or what's your approach for a game like that?
for me, it's usually depending on the game.
Yeah.
So if a game is very story driven, I'm going to follow the story, even if it's like Grand Theft Auto 5. It was one of those that was very story heavy, but it has side quests. But the story I was more interested in than I was doing any of the side quest stuff. And I never got into the Grand Theft Auto Online, so that's not my gaming area when it comes to that game. But if you give me a game that is, casual, go build up your base, collect items, I really don't care. I'm just gonna dink around and do whatever I want with it.
So then I would predict, you've already told us, but then I would predict a game like Zelda, where we all know what the story is because we've played 15 Zelda games already, and the story is always defeat Ganon and rescue Zelda, that you would be the kind of player who would want to do all the side quests in a game like that, which makes sense.
Well, I think for me, for doing side quests and stuff, I think it is game dependent. Open world games, Assassin's Creed, I've played all the Assassin's Creed games.
Mm-hmm.
I just get easily distracted, if there's a main quest that I have to go to, and I see a little dot pop up, it's like, oh, I gotta go see what that is, and I gotta go dig a hole or whatever. And it's like that with the Horizon games on PS5. It's kind of that. But if there's a game that I'm just trying to just get done with, then I'll just plow through it. I won't worry about the side stuff. So I'm it's hit or miss. It's dependent on the game.
Yeah. Well, we lost Ryan. Lost everybody.
Yeah, just me and you, Eric.
All right, that's cool. We'll hang out. We can see more of the sweet Star or Space Quest background.
The Space Quest. Is that Space Quest 2 or 3?
I think it's 3. Yeah.
Okay.
We were talking about it last time.
Number 4 was Return of Roger Wilco, I think.
I think by 4 they had gotten to the they've gotten away from the like command line style interface where you type stuff and then you just have the icons that you click on and try to manipulate pictures.
Yeah, that was number 4. I had number 4 for.
I think that was 4
for PC. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way that I play a game is game dependent. So I have a hard time I guess I've been ruined. I think I've been spoiled by modern games, to be honest.
Mhm.
Modern games, they often have a journal that keeps notes for you, right?
Mhm.
And so if there's a journal that keeps the notes for me, I can always go back to the main quest later and read the
Mhm.
notes and be like, oh, okay, this is what I was supposed to do.
Mhm.
But older style games where you have to keep your own notes,
Yeah.
I tend to focus on the main thing, or else I forget what I'm supposed to do. And then
Yeah, and a lot of those older games that had they came with manuals and they had handbooks and stuff like that that you could take notes and stuff.
the blank pages at the end of the
Yeah,
thing, so you can keep.
Illusion, like Dragon Warrior, Illusion of Gaia, those games.
Yep.
It's the same thing. You get handbooks and you'd have to take the notes, and
Yeah,
that's no longer a thing.
I remember when I bought or when I got, I think for my birthday, I got Secret of Mana. And me and my buddy Jeremy, we didn't read the handbook because we were just like, whatever, we'll just play the game. So we started playing the game. And only after we beat it, years after we beat it, we realized that Secret of Mana is actually a 2-player game.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Didn't read the manual. And there was no hint, back then there were no tutorials or hints or anything. So it was just he would play and I would watch, or I would play and he would watch, and we'd try and remember what we're supposed to be doing. And then years later we went back to it and we're like, wait a second, this is actually 2-player. We could have been playing simultaneously this whole time.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought it was 3-player. There's a Secret of Mana game. I think there's a game that's like that where it's 3 players, and I think you have to have the
multi-tap,
the Bomberman multi-tap, I think, to play it. If I remember right, because I think it was Bomberman.
Maybe
that had that. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but yeah, are we gonna get these guys back or what? What's the deal here?
No, I'm gonna pop over. Lost power.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so Chris says they lost power.
Hopefully it comes back here soon.
Which is odd because the weather's fine. It must be some other
sort of issue that's going on.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can hang out for a while. Hopefully they can come back because they both went out at the same time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He says somebody probably drove into a transformer. Or well, the likely cause of that in my neighborhood of an unexpected power outage is when somebody's RV catches fire and burns through a line.
Oh yeah, I can see that happening.
That's happened more than once over here.
Yeah. So Tfcon was fantastic.
I was going to ask.
By the way, it was good. It was kind of weird. I've been to countless conventions and expos and everything, but never have I been like totally by myself. Like have I ever gone? So I think there was a little bit of a mental hurdle when I first got there. It's like I'm by myself. There's no one else here, because usually Sarah's there with me.
Sure.
Or you or whoever is there. So that was a little bit of a shock at first, being by myself. And but once I got kind of over that and I saw how many people were there and they were doing the same thing, they were flying solo. It was much better. There was a guy that I recognized from Sidefest that we see every single year. So I talked to him. He was in lines with me for a lot of the autographs and all that stuff. So we'll talk to him when we head up there in August. But it was a good show. It was pretty much any Transformer that you can think of, they had there.
Really?
I mean, it was everything. It was anything and everything that you could think of, they had there.
Hey, Ryan.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
We were just talking about TFCon.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like, we
power
just
out?
lost. The power went out. Yeah, Chris lost his power too. So right now I'm trying to get my main monitor back on.
Yeah, no,
and it hasn't come on yet. But you guys are holding down the fort, so thank you. This is crazy.
Yeah, we got it.
So what were the prices like there compared to something like Sidefest?
They weren't the best.
Really?
And I
Because
think a
I felt
lot
like
of that
Sidefest was really reasonable. There's some really reasonable
they
prices.
were really good. I think it was just because of where it was at and what it
Mhm.
was and how
Mhm.
big it was. Because this was the 40th anniversary, and so they had pretty much anybody that who's who in the Transformers G1 series was there.
That's great.
And so there were people that were buying up a lot of the old school figures and getting them signed and the comics and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
And
that's
it
going to
was,
come with a premium, right?
yep, yep, that is going to come with a premium. But yeah, it was a good show. Am I going to go again next year? I don't know. We'll see if I can, if it's around a good time, because it's supposed to be around the same time as last year. So I might
Hey,
be in Seattle.
Hey.
Hey, you're back.
yeah, I'm back. He
How
let
did
me
we
come
look?
out of the backstage. He left me back there
Yeah.
all alone. Were there any people dressed up for Transformers Con?
They had a costume contest actually.
That's great.
And they were surprisingly they were pretty good. And an RC was there. Eric or Ratchet.
Ratchet.
RC and Ratchet were there.
Nice.
Eric will tell you about there's a Ratchet that we see every time. Every
Almost.
year.
I don't remember seeing her last year, but I do. Like every other time, I remember seeing.
Yeah,
her.
she's been there. And they have like a 12-foot tall Optimus Prime costume. Guy was walking around and stuff, and
with like the stilts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But with Peter Cullen there and Frank Welker, it was pretty busy. They were, I think I don't know how many shows they've had, but they were saying that was the busiest one they've ever had. If anything, it was probably oversold.
You met them, right?
I was fortunate enough to meet them in January here in town, and so I didn't have to deal with all the waiting and stuff like that. So that was good, because apparently towards the end they were flying through autographs and stuff like that. And
sure.
And there wasn't a whole lot of time. But when I met them in Portland in January, I think Sarah and I had maybe 5 or 6 minutes with them to talk and chat and stuff about stuff. So that was really cool. That was better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen somebody post on Instagram their Bumblebee costume they were starting to make for next year's Transformers Con.
Yeah, and next year probably wouldn't be the bad year to go, because it probably won't be as busy.
Quite as slammed, yeah.
It won't be as slammed.
Well, she only had the feet ready, and they were like 4 feet tall.
Oh wow!
Oh,
for
dang.
just the feet. So I think she's trying to like go all out with like a huge.
Which
costume.
version was it? Was it the later Camaro version, or?
It might have. You know, it looks like it was from the new Bumblebee movie.
Okay, yeah, the Camaro version.
So, part-time girlfriend, huh?
I don't want to know. I think I'm back.
Oh, hey.
I'm God,
I'm not holding my breath.
What the? I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I was just trying to figure out, like, how do I turn my main monitor back on? And that was like a whole power switch thing. I was like, all right, I MacGyvered it. Whew.
Some duct tape and a few paper clips later, you're back in business.
But that's good to know. Like, if I lose power and Chris lost power, you guys kept on going. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
The show must go on.
Yeah,
exactly. Whew. Oh man, that stressed me out.
You're good. All right. You're good. So who did you meet then there? Because I know that you got some stuff signed, right?
So I met, I think it was 11 of the cast members, and well, I think 9 of the cast and 2 of the like Stan Bush was there,
right?
And then I met Vince Nicola, who was he's also on with the soundtrack.
Okay.
And then the guy that voices G1 Bumblebee, Grimlock, Bone Crusher, Devastator.
Right.
Who else was there?
Were these guys like all old guys now? Like,
I mean,
much older than us, right?
Yeah. So here's an interesting fact. So when I got there, I was actually curious of what the clientele was going to be. Like, are they going to be my age? Are they going to be younger? And it was a mix of everybody from maybe 5 years old all the way up to probably people in their mid 70s. There was a lot.
That tracks with what we saw at Sidefest. We saw
Mhm.
a wide range of ages at Sidefest,
Yeah.
which was, I think, really cool to see, because what that means, I think, is the parents and maybe the older siblings or the uncles are sharing their passions with the younger generation, and they get into it,
Right.
or even better, they find it on their own through the internet or whatever, and
Mhm.
get into it like my nieces did. I never sat them down and be like, here's Transformers. They've seen my toys around, and then all of a sudden they're into it. So
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And I think, I absolutely, I hate bringing this up, but it was brought up a lot when I was in lines with people and chatting. We don't know how many more conventions a lot of these guys have to go anymore. And so it's good to meet them now and thank them for everything they've done in the series. And, but it was good. I had a really good time. Got to meet a lot of cool people.
Do you make any friends?
I did. I made a lot of friends. There were some people that probably I followed on Instagram that I just deleted it right away, probably. Yeah, because they just come up to me and say, "Hey, let me add you on Instagram." Oh, okay, but aside from that, everybody was cool. I had a good time. There weren't any issues or anything like that. It was a good time with everybody. Yeah, had a good time. Had fun.
Good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, spent. I came in with the budget, and I actually went home with money, with cash, which was good. But there was one thing that I did have to call the wife about before.
The XO, you need permission.
Yeah.
Oh.
It actually arrived this morning today, so I had to. Yeah, that was. It was all good. It's all good. We don't need to worry. It's good.
Yeah. All right.
You're an adult.
Yeah,
exactly.
Speaking of expensive stuff, how was the not swap meet, guys?
Yes. I'm waiting to hear about this.
I watched the video, but I want to hear firsthand.
Yes, do tell,
Chris.
I mean, this year they had an extra room in the hotel there, and it was there was like a psychic there. They had like crystals you could buy.
So this is Sidequest. What is it? Sidequest Expo? What are they calling it now?
Yeah, it's Sidequest Expo.
All right.
And so this used to be called PRGE Swap Meet, right? If I remember back in the early days, the Portland Retro Swap.
I think you're right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and so they've it just seems like this time there was a lot more vendors there that went into their basements where they'd had floods happen, and they're like, "Hey, I got games here. I'll sell these," and nobody cares. And then they've got a lot of knickknacks. This felt more like a yard sale you'd go to around your neighborhood where people are just like, here's all my trash. There was maybe 3 or 4 booths there that it seemed like there were actual serious collectors trying to sell stuff, but outside of that, it wasn't all that great.
Well, for me, there was a lot. I think there was a lot of trash there, but everything was expensive to me. Like, you bring your big ticket item. I'm trying to put myself in the place of these businesses, because that's what they were. Like, I didn't feel like I felt like I was talking to employees from every business. Right. Like, you work there. Like, one guy was trying to tell us to come up to our store in Vancouver. We've been there 16 years. You remember that, Chris?
Yep. No sales tax. I don't have any sales tax.
I told him, I don't go up to Washington. I don't want to pay sales tax. And like, well, yeah, we don't have to. we don't have to do that for you. Like, what? How are you gonna do that? Like, you're just gonna, do I pay you under the table? Like, what? I don't know. So, um, everything, it seemed like stuff was more expensive than last year. I'm trying to put myself into, like, if I was a business, like, you want to have like a big ticket item, a couple big ticket items. I get that. Um, because, if you sell it, man, you're set for the week. But everything was, I don't know if there was nothing that really like said, oh, I have to buy that. And I guess I came in not really looking for anything much. Like, I just wanted to look at NES games and maybe some Dreamcast games, Xbox games, whatever. And it's just so disappointing, like, where we are as a hobby, as a I don't, man, this is a hard subject. Like, there's just everything is, after the pandemic. I don't know what the cause of this is, but everything is so high right now in price.
Mm-hmm.
And are we in a bubble right now? Is it going to burst? Is it going to continue to rise? I don't know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious what the chat thinks. But it's like, I don't know what's sustainable and what's not. It makes me want to do more stuff on emulation, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I saw that the video you posted. You ran across. I think it was a Mega Man for like $400.
right,
Mega Man 5 for
$480.
$480.
Wow.
And my friend Joe in Eugene, he messaged me and he's like, "Yeah, no, I bought Mega Man 5 in the box and I didn't pay $480 for it. No way." Actually, if you look it up on price charting,
Mm-hmm.
Mint in box, I believe, is $400.
Right.
Mint. So there was they had a lot of stuff that was complete in box. So that means the seal's been broken. I
Yeah.
believe that. There was that one game that was $3,500. Earthbound
Right.
said it was
Mhm.
complete in box. So that
Not
means
even
the seal's
sealed.
been broken,
Yeah.
and they still want $3,500 for a complete in box, not mint in box, complete in box. I will say, the WADA stuff, this was a good thing. I didn't talk about this in the video.
Hmm.
I didn't feel like there was much WADA stuff there, Chris. I think there was more CGC stuff there, graded from CGC, like the comic book company. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that was due to the WADA people reacting with all the scandals going on with WADA, but I felt like there wasn't. I didn't remember seeing anything from WADA, so maybe that was a plus. But
So CGC is kind of new to the game grading scene.
yeah,
I think they started a year and a half, 2 years ago. I got a couple of games graded when I was at Emerald City last year because they made an appearance, and so I took what was it? Show and tell. I took.
they graded it on site.
Ooh,
Star
nice.
Tropics. They no, it was one of those ones where you fill out the form and then you mail it.
You send it out to Florida.
I had it back within 4 days.
Oh wow.
And so that was a little bit concerning. Like it went so fast. Like it was like, wow, I just dropped this off and you guys are already mailing this back. And I thought I was going to get at least a 9.6, but it was a 9.2. And it was like, what? That's a good looking seal and everything. Aside from that, but I think when we're talking about the price of games and everything, I think after the pandemic, things started to not necessarily go down, but they kind of leveled off a little bit. When Eric and I were at Game On Expo a couple of years ago, I think that was kind of the peak for a lot of the systems. I know GameCube was kind of the peak. I know NES had kind of flatlined. If anything, it kind of dipped a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to make deals with a lot of people with NES games.
Yeah.
Because they weren't moving very well. And I think right now they're just stuck. Like they're not going up or down or anything, and nothing, because these games, they're only worth what someone's going to pay for it. So if
Sure.
people are buying these on eBay, Mega Man 5 for $500, 480 or 620 or however much it is, then the price charting is just going to keep climbing and climbing. That's what it is, because it's an algorithm that just takes all the prices and it makes an average. But I think in the past 5 or 6 years before the pandemic, you could buy. Eric, was it like 2018? We went to PRG. I bought over 40 N64 games for, I think, maybe $800, and those weren't all sports titles. I think I had Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut in there, and that's the rarest game on the system. But you can only buy, with that much money, you can maybe buy 10 at this point, and still it's that way right now. So there hasn't been a decline, and I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. People keep talking about this bubble to pop at some point. I'm just waiting, because I haven't seen it yet.
Do you guys ever think about, like, I've been thinking about the digital games. You know who really doesn't like digital games? It's these vendors, because you cannot
absolutely.
sell a digital game at one of these shows.
Right.
It's tied to your account.
Absolutely.
And man, I know, Eric, you talked last week about how, you're all for physical media, but
Yep.
who's really for physical media is the guys that sell these
The
for
resellers, yeah.
And definitely, like, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, they want to cut these guys out of it. And even just trading between you and me or whatever, cut that out too.
Mhm.
So that's the world we're going to be living in 10 years, maybe even sooner than that. And the supply of, I don't know if that's going to make the price go up on these physical games or go down. Chris, did you have you think the price is going to go up still?
I think it's going to go up. And part of the reason I think that's going to happen is because we didn't touch on it last week, but Nintendo had sued one of the largest emulators, and they settled for $2.4 million, and they shut down. Yuzu, I believe is yeah. And never heard of them before. Started looking into it, and it seemed like they were perfectly fine with them when they were just touching 3DS emulations. But the moment they stepped into Switch emulations is when Nintendo really went after them. And so I think with a lot of these emulators out there, because it is kind of a gray area, there's no legal ruling anywhere that says you can't make emulators. But I think as long as they're not touching the money that a lot of these large corporations are making right now, they don't really care too much about it. But the moment you start dipping into their breadbasket, that's when they kind of go after you. And I think if we start to see more emulators back off and not giving access to it, I think we're going to see more of the physical games, like the NES games, and that we're going to see them go up in price. There's going to be more value to them because people are going to want to go back to the physical media.
But are they, like, is your kids going to want to play old NES games?
My son wants to play Simpsons.
Does he?
Bart versus the Space Mutants.
What's up, Alikrian? Big piece of the puzzle with that lawsuit, which gets glossed over, is they were charging on Patreon for the newest builds of the emulator. That is why Nintendo brought the hammer down ultimately. Yeah, so there's a whole, that doing stuff on Patreon. I'm sure, like, the Nintendo people got into that Patreon. Yeah. And I see the new one is called, have you seen this, Chris? It's called Sue You. But they're trying to get it so they don't get sued, obviously, but Sue You.
It's pretty good.
But, I go back to that, going back to these events, I think, and Joe messaged me last week too, Joe's Entertainment. He said, just go to these events to hang out with your friends. If you find something that you can afford, you know, go for it. But
Mhm.
I guess yeah, you can't get caught up in uh, the economy, and I don't know what you call this, the economy, but the video game market where it is. You can't let it get to you. Just stay positive, and you know, it's just some of this stuff is just shocking. Like I see these games, and like back in the '90s or the '80s, it's amazing how where some of these games are now physically.
Yeah.
So I think if we just go to these events and just go in having that mindset, like just gonna go hang out with friends, we can get a beer, great, and just have fun as much as you can. Um, I think that's probably the way to go.
I keep thinking about how there's a commodification of nostalgia, right? That's what happens to collectibles. You grow up with these things. You leave the house, you get a job, you start getting some disposable income. You can start, you hit your 30s or 40s. You think fondly of your childhood and you try to reacquire some of the things that brought you joy as a child, right? I mean, that's part
Right.
of what's happening in the physical media of games. Is that's certainly why I buy Nintendo and Super Nintendo stuff, because I remember um my quest for Rad Racer with the glasses, for example, is completely driven by the fact that I got that for my birthday one year, and I remember how happy I was to get Rad Racer on my birthday and open it up and play it with my friends. It's a bad game. Rad Racer's not a good game. um, but I spent, a decent chunk of change getting it again because it makes me remember when I was happy as a kid. Um, but what I don't know how to account for is, unfortunately, as we get older, there'll be less and less of us that want to reminisce that way. Um, and will the next generation have that same emotional attachment or not? How many of these physical artifacts will still be usable? I think Nintendo's got a good track record of having hardware that lasts a long time. Um, but yeah, as we age, there'll be less demand for like the nostalgia, and maybe fewer devices that actually work. And maybe also with that, fewer people who want to acquire them. So who knows what the price is going to do? I don't know how to predict that.
Yeah, I almost need we're gonna go back to economics class, and I'd love to hear one of my professors talk about it
Right, right.
and see where it's got to be like a futures market and where to bet on it.
Mm-hmm.
Dathan, do you have any other thoughts on this?
Um, we've touched on it on previous shows, just about the physical aspect of a lot of these games that are coming out. We've got studios saying, don't get comfortable owning your own games, with it being on digital. With these other companies that are out there, limited run games, when their motto is forever physical. I think a lot of this is going to benefit them. I am 8-bit too, I think, is one of them. Play Asia is another company that does a lot of these physical copy games that you won't be able to, like Contra, what came out 2 days ago, and I think there's no physical copy. It'll limited run games is doing it in September.
Mm-hmm.
And I think games like that, I don't think they'll be worth anything right from the get go, but maybe 5 or 10 years or so. I mean, who knows? Who knows if they're gonna? And as long as there's companies like that that are still going to be around, I think the physical media, like Chris was saying, is going to climb. Maybe not Nintendo cartridges themselves, but unless they start making, uh, you know, reproductions of those games, and they might. I don't know.
And you want your stuff to be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
If it, yeah, it's that Rad Racer is valuable to you personally, but you also want your stuff to be worth something
Mm-hmm.
for sure, you know, and maybe after you die or whatever, you need to pass something on or sell it and help your family. That's great. That's also, you know, it makes you feel good as an individual. Like, my collection is worth something. And I totally get that too. Like, that's great. Like, if I've got stuff that's appreciated in value from 5 years ago or whatever, awesome. But it's also it's a double-edged sword, because if you want to buy new stuff and it's also rising too, it's like, you know, you just gotta, I guess, like we were saying, just stay positive and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, take the wins where you can.
Yeah.
So with the expo, did they have, so they had the main room across the street, right? The main, like where they have the main vendor floor.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I know last year they had another room that was when you walk into the hotel, you turn to the right in that little hallway. They had, was
They
that
didn't.
there?
No, they had another. Well, they had three rooms. They had the one that's like that room that's outside.
Mm-hmm.
They had one where you had to go into the lobby. That's where you get your ID badge.
Okay.
There's a bigger one inside that's past that room that they didn't use that room this year. The new one from last year, they didn't use that. And
Okay.
then there was a gaming room, like a tournament room, if you go beyond the new room inside,
Okay.
which was kind of a joke.
So
If you saw my video.
I saw the video.
So more vendors or less vendors from this year to last year?
It was more vendors than last year.
There's more
Oh,
vendors, but it was like, yeah, there was like Saturday market kind of stuff in there too. So it was like,
Yeah.
there wasn't video. They weren't even selling video games. Some of these
Not
people.
more game vendors is what you're saying?
No, I don't know if there were less game vendors this year. There were more tables this year than last year,
Mm-hmm.
but like the majority of the game vendors were over in the old like main area,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the second area that they had was a lot of like mom and pop, like here's my crystals you can buy, or here's some glasses that I've laser carved things into. But it really wasn't a whole lot. I don't think, as far as game vendors go, there really wasn't a whole lot more to it this year.
Yeah.
The other concerning thing for me is, Chris, how many kids did you see at that show walking around?
I don't think I saw any kids.
Right.
Really?
That is a big problem because if kids aren't interested in this stuff, then if they're not interested now, why are they going to be interested 10, 20 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
We did go into GameStop in the Lloyd Center, and there were kids in GameStop
Mm-hmm.
looking at stuff, but they weren't interested at this event at all. And maybe, you did have to pay $20, $30 to get in. So that's a barrier right there. But I find it interesting too. Like and I'm not talking about like my son's age, like 5-year-olds. I'm talking about like, I don't know, like 10 and up, where you finally can have some money. You're interested, like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. Like, I'd like to play a Rad Racer or whatever. Like, no, like there was none of that demographic, I felt.
Well, I think
So,
even last year when we went, there were like families there with their kids
Yeah.
walking around, and it didn't seem like there were any families this year.
Huh.
Like,
and we just went on
seemed,
Saturday. I'll say with that, like, we were there from like 10 o'clock to a little after 12, or I don't know. We were there for 2 or 3 hours. So, but yeah, from what we saw, there was no family kid stuff, and maybe that's the show's own fault. They need to promote more kind of kid friendly stuff to bring them. So
I read something. I was on Reddit, and this teacher was saying about how I think it was a high school teacher, was saying how he talks to his kids about gaming every now and again, and because they're super interested in whether or not he's playing Fortnite, right? And he's like, yeah, I play Fortnite a little bit. And then, but really, I'm into this other game. It's a single player game. I forget which one. And he was asking the kids if they play any single player games. And he was getting no responses for, like, apparently all of the high school kids are playing multiplayer games only, like exclusively.
Wow. Yeah.
And in the comment section, they were saying that it might be because a lot of those multiplayer games are freemium style games, like they're free to get into,
Right.
and so the monetary barrier to entry is quite low. But I wonder, I don't have kids, but I wonder if kids are even interested in playing single player games these days, regardless of the monetary cost of getting into them. Is that something kids are interested in? Like, maybe is that a reason why you don't see too many kids at the Sidequest, but you do at some place like GameStop?
Right. And Chris, you also had a point last week too, where even though that Warner Brothers Kill the Justice League game, like, it was unsuccessful, right? And it's a
Yep.
live service game. And you said they're still going to make live service games even though that game's a failure. It goes to now, at Eric's point, kids want to play live service games. I don't really, unless it's a really game that hooks me. But yeah, I am for more single player games, and I think our generation maybe is. But that's why they're keying in. They want that new demographic. They want that they're the new shiny car they're trying to get.
Mm-hmm.
They want that money because that's going to be their future income when we die off. So it's really fascinating. There's a lot of life stuff going on, and yeah, you can really write a whole paper on all this stuff. But maybe, don't take it too seriously. Maybe.
So what do you think was the biggest difference from this year's show to last year's show? Because last year's show was pretty good, I thought.
I thought so too.
I thought it was pretty solid.
Well, first of all, you guys weren't there.
Yeah, that's a given.
Maybe it would have been cooler if you guys were there. But I said this in the video. Like, I felt like it was just small business after small business, little game company. And I'm totally fine with small business. I love supporting them, but I want to have that one-on-one. I want to be the guy that has a table one year at one of these places, and I don't have a business. I don't have my own license or anything like that. I just want to have like a one-on-one conversation. Hey, nothing's you don't have to look things up on price charting every time, and just I felt like we were missing some of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm going to the Washington State Gaming Expo in 2 weeks. It's the first time they've done it, and they're supposed to have vendor, the whole spiel. It's like PRGE. So I'm curious to see, one, what vendors are there, and two, the type of vendors that are going to be there, because this is their first year that they're doing this. But they are bringing a bunch of voice actors from the games there, which is something that the Sidequest Expo doesn't. I think they save that for PRG, which is fine, which is good.
Right.
And I do miss the old school style of the actual term, the swap meet, where you're able to get games. And the guy that puts it on, Josh Hamlin, who runs Sidequest Games in Portland, he's got a fantastic store. He does a really, really good job putting this on. And I don't know. I'm sad that I missed it, but then again, I'm kind of like, if I was in town, I definitely would have gone. But I'm just seeing all the videos and all the comments and everything. It's like, well, I don't feel too bad right now.
Were there other negative videos out there? The only thing I saw briefly was John Riggs did a video, and he just went around every booth there and just asked what the weirdest thing was at your table. Like, he wasn't even looking at the prices. He was just asking, what's your weirdest item? I'm like, I didn't think of it like that. and maybe maybe there is a video there, and
I
you
think
spark a conversation.
a lot of the comments that I read, they were on Facebook under the retro game forum. There's a group that you can sign onto, and the stuff wasn't negative. It was just observations and opinions. It wasn't like this was trash. No, it wasn't like that at all. It was just observations from comparing from last year to this year. So, which is why I was asking you guys what was so different.
And we got a badge this year, Chris.
Yep.
Oh, you got badges. Wow.
We got badges.
That was a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things where I think I don't have a collector's mindset. So when I go to one of these things and I buy, a game, I'm going to play it. I'm not going to let it sit on a shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's, a lot of it for me is probably sticker shock. I look at something and I'm like, I ain't going to spend, $150 on that. I want to play it. I don't want it to sit on a shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Or, the Nintendo Powers that they had graded.
Oh yeah, I saw it. That
is
kind of shocking to me.
I've never seen that before.
It's a cool thing to look at, and it, brings back a time when I had Nintendo Power, but for me, if I were to spend the money on something like that, I'd want to crack it open and look at it over.
Well,
and be like,
well, the whole point of Nintendo Power was to look at you wanted reviews on these games, you wanted news on these games, and you wanted like cheats and ways to beat the levels. Like that's why you read it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like if you put it if you grade it and you can't open it anymore,
you destroy the thing it was made for.
Right. You're just saving the artwork, which is cool. The artwork, some of the artwork is really cool.
As a way to preserve the thing. Okay.
And I get like comic books. Like I've got graded comic books, but I almost feel like there's a difference between comic books and magazines. I don't know. I don't know. It just felt weird. It felt weird.
Everybody's got their own thing. There's probably people out there with Playboys from the 70s that they've got in graded sleeves.
You like that? I mean, great. Whatever people are going to buy. I'm curious if he sold any of those. Whoever that vendor was.
I don't know. I'm starting to see those. Well, when we were, this is kind of touching back to when Eric and I were at the Game On Expo. We actually ran into Josh at the airport when we were flying back, and we were just talking about the trends and everything that's going on. And I think he mentioned something about Nintendo Powers. 4 or 5 years ago, you could buy 10 of them for $5. They were super cheap. They couldn't even give them away. But now, just random ones are $25, $30. So it's just the trend that's going on right now.
Did you see a couple of years ago? Actually, someone scanned every Nintendo Power and uploaded it to the cloud or whatever.
It's cool.
And Nintendo found out about it and they took it down.
That's what?
Yeah, of course.
But I think once you put things up on the internet, it's out there somewhere, so you can still get the whole kit and caboodle if you wanted to.
Well, have you seen the Xbox that tweeted out their Final Fantasy 14 sweepstakes to get it's just a fantastic looking non-working.
It's non-working.
It's not working. It's just a piece of art.
Oh, okay.
But you'll actually get a working system with it too. But
that looks I don't even though it's really cool that Final Fantasy is finally coming to Xbox, I don't consider getting an Xbox system that looks like something from Final Fantasy interesting, at least yet.
Now, I think that's kind of the direction they're going, though, is with the all digital age, let's bring out these systems that have got new features to them, new looks, a new skin art, whatever the case may be. Which is, it's kind of cool to see things like this, but at the same time, give me my physical media.
They're going to be selling that at next year's swap meet, dude. So just get your money ready. Do you guys want to see what I got?
Yes, let's see those pickups.
Well, first of all, I got this one.
Oh, you got it.
You did get it.
And and I totally forgot, like, the inside. There's like there's a whole thing with like strip clubs in here. Like, part of the reason why this game is so infamous, like, it's rated M, but like, if you beat levels, do you remember this, Chris? Like, it has a relationship with Scores strip club in New York, and it the there's like a girl that'll like strip for you, like, if you beat a level. Do you remember this? And I don't think it's like, I think in the video, at least what I was seeing online, maybe they didn't post it all, but there were dancers, and they didn't get nude on YouTube, but that's a really interesting. I haven't seen a game like this come out since, so it's really interesting. But it has this cool little. I'm glad this was still in there.
Nice.
They left that with the game, and the game is on disc, and it's a really clean copy. So I was really happy. So, and talking about Mega Man 5, I didn't have any Mega Man games on NES, so this is the first one I got, Mega Man 3.
Oh, you got the best one.
Yeah, I think I remember renting this and beating it. So I got that. I got Goonies 2.
Oh yeah, great.
Very difficult game.
Yeah, and so I got those 3. And then I was just looking through there. I've got a couple other games. I want to buy cases for these. I got 10-Yard Fight, Kings of the Beach, 49 cents. And then this game, Top Gun.
Oh, Top Gun, classic.
$5 or no, there's a sticker on that says $10 on it. But I need to buy cases for those. So I'm starting to get a little NES collection here going. I think I've got most of the popular ones now. I'm going into the more obscure, maybe a little bit. So there's so many.
I think that time we went to Portland Retro Gaming Expo the first time, I got Goonies 2 and Kid Icarus complete in box.
Mm-hmm.
I think together they were maybe $60. Yeah, I'm seeing 70, 71.49 for Goonies 2 complete. So yeah,
complete in box. Yeah.
Prices have gone crazy. Kid Icarus is $150 complete in box.
I mean, if you're looking for just cases, you can go on Etsy and you can have like hard clamshell cases made for pretty cheap. I've got probably maybe like 10 or 15 of those.
I can give you guys the website I use. I think it's retrogamecases.com.
Yep, that's the one that I've used. Yep,
that's my favorite one.
They'll do custom cases for you.
I've also seen on Etsy, like, if there's like a game you really like if you're really into Super Mario Brothers 3, like, they can do like a whole frame for the game with like artwork, and you put the game in that frame, and that would look cool in a game room too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only brought like $100. I think I only spent like 60. So
that's pretty good for all those.
I definitely restrained myself. I feel.
Seems like you did well, though, even if it wasn't the best of shows. Seems like you did well.
Yeah. Thanks.
I mean, I also picked up Advanced Wars 1 and 2.
I saw that in the video, and I was jealous, man. I've been jonesing to play that.
Yeah, they didn't release that for quite a
it was
number of months because of the war in Russia going on. So yeah, that could be a one that goes up in price too. Still.
Have you played 2 at all? I have 1 original on the Game Boy Advance, and I'm at the last mission. It's hard.
You have to beat the first one for it to open up the second game.
Okay.
Which I mean, I'm guessing the story continues on, which is why they did it that way. But I was kind of like, well, what if I just want to play 2?
Right.
So I was kind of surprised by the fact that it doesn't allow me to just jump into 2. and I was only allowed to start with one. So
Maybe I won't feel so bad about beating one then, because I just have to do it again anyway.
They need to do a new Kid Icarus game.
I think the last one they did Uprising on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still when was that? 10 years ago?
2011, I think it was.
Yeah. So
and it had that weird like attachment thing on the bottom because it was the controls were absolutely terrible, horrible controls. But you had this gamepad thing that would sit in the bottom of the 3DS, and then you would control Pit running around, and it was like dual analog.
Yeah, I beat that one, but yeah, those controls were terrible.
Yeah, they were not good. They were difficult.
So that's low hanging fruit for you, Nintendo.
Yeah,
get on it. Maybe they're gonna have it come out with the next system. Who am I kidding? They're gonna come out with Mario Kart 8 again. That's gonna be the launch title, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as it has Rainbow Road on there, I'm happy. That's all that matters.
Oh yeah. My son sees Rainbow Red, like Rainbow Road.
Rainbow Road on N64, best course.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's been an hour. Do you guys want to keep going a little bit, or do you want to We got 13. We got 13 people watching us, but no one's chatting with us tonight. So
well, you guys had to bounce for like 10 minutes. We should at least give the people 10 minutes more, right?
Give a little bit extra. There's one thing I took some notes on for last week. Actually, I wanted to bring this up, but I didn't get a chance. So maybe we can just chat a little bit about it now.
Was it your anime that you were talking about, the Blue Samurai?
Oh no. Although go watch that show, Blue Eye Samurai. It's great.
Well, I randomly put up a short about it today, and it got 500 views.
Really?
I was surprised. So I was like, all right.
You know, when I was thinking about it, what I really love about that show is they've done the female protagonist in like they've redeemed the female protagonist, I think. Maybe this is controversial and too political or whatever, but like the Mulan problem, right? If you've watched the live action remake of Mulan, she's just already good at everything. She has no flaws. She's like, what's the term? Mary Sue or whatever. She's just a perfect human being. And it's hard to relate to a character that's already has all the good things and has nowhere to go, no arc to travel. But in Blue Eye Samurai, she's a badass, but she's not perfect. She's a flawed character, and you see her grow and change, and it's really great. I think it's really what they've done. Anyway, but that's not what I wanted to talk about.
Well, I would counter that too. Like my wife thinks she's a perfect character, so I think this is a whole another conversation. But like women are more empowered now than they were 5, 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's great. But if you bring it into, you see it in movies too. So
yeah,
it is interesting. Green Knight and fun stuff, dude. Thank you for watching. Next week, Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out. I have pre-order. I've got it pre-ordered too. I don't know if I'm going to have time to play it, so maybe I should cancel my pre-order. But Chris, you're still getting it, right?
I want to, but at the same time, I don't have time. I've got too much stuff.
What I was hearing too, the difference between Dragon's Dogma 2 and Elden Ring is Dragon's Dogma 2 is just like a single player game, is what I'm hearing. There's no multiplayer in it. Are you hearing that?
If it's like the first Dragon's Dogma, then yeah, it's going to be a single player, but you can get NPCs that are crafted by other people. So you get companions. You get your own companion. The first Dragon's Dogma allowed you to get your own companion, and then you could craft them the way you want them to be, but then you could upload that character online for somebody else to take and use. And so you could go in and like get your companion. You could start the game out, grab somebody else's companion that the lame people use. That's like a level 85. So if you want to be able to have an easy time at the beginning of the game, you could get somebody else's guy that they've been working with. And then as you went through and found certain books, it would make the NPC actually smarter in the way they attack different creatures, different enemies. So
it sounds cool the way you talk about it. So
it was kind of an interesting way that
I want
they
to see
did
a review. I really want to see a review. It's that Star Wars Battlefront burned me this week.
Yeah.
Princess Peach Showtime also comes out next week too.
So does Ronin on PS5 that comes out next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reviews already came out for that. It looked pretty good. Lee Korean and Elden Ring is a Souls game. Dragon's Dogma is an action RPG with mechanics borrowed from Shadow of Colossus. They aren't that similar. Okay. Well, Elden Ring is also an RPG, bro. What constitutes an RPG? That's interesting.
Yeah.
So many things are RPGs now. And then you have JRPGs.
MMORPGs. Speaking
MM,
of,
right.
Camelot Unchained finally gets a release date. I don't know if you guys have been following that drama, but Camelot Unchained was a Kickstarter from 2013 that raised about $2 million.
Okay.
And it's been 10 years and they haven't released. And allegedly 2025, they're going to release this game.
Wow.
I am super dubious. Apparently, no MMORPG that has been kickstarted has ever actually been released. So this will be the first one if it actually happens. The lead dev on this game, I forget the guy's name, but he's building his own engine and his own game to try it.
That's awesome.
Apparently why it's taken so long. But it's awesome that, if you want to do that, the amount of technical knowledge and like just grit you have to have in order to do either of those things, let alone both of those things, it exceeds my understanding. But yeah, his engine is now 10 years old and it's probably showing its age. And so I don't know. I don't know if those backers are going to be too well pleased with a game that should have been released, 8 years ago, coming out next year, if at all.
What was that game, Chris, that came out on Xbox a couple years ago? That was like a Link game, and it was made by one guy. Do you know what I'm talking about? They put it on Game Pass pretty early. I'm gonna have to look it up now, but I thought that was impressive because it was made by one guy, and I think it's now starting to see physical copies come out. I wonder if I can pull it up here real quick. But
I don't know. I was just looking at the Camelot Unchained, and it says that there was a beta one phase that was entered back on July 31st, 2018. So they had started a beta for it.
No, they did have a beta, but it was like not really playable. There was like I think that the guy who wrote the game showed some players what it was, and he was essentially running backwards the whole time, spamming the same spell over and over again, and that was the whole game. So people were pretty upset with the beta when he demoed that.
The game I was talking about
it was Tunic.
Go ahead. Yeah, Tunic.
Yeah,
Tunic. So that was pretty. There's that also that new Simon's Quest game. Have you guys seen that?
Mm-mm.
I think that's only being developed by one or two guys, and it's coming out on Steam. You can download the demo right now, and I've got it on. Oh shoot! I'm gonna have to. It's by Programmancer. you can download. There's a demo 0.1 is what I have, and it's only 5,000 kilobytes, but it plays like the original NES game, and it's coming. It's coming to all major platforms next year.
The Transylvania
It's like
Adventure of Simon Quest. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Check that out if you haven't already.
Cool.
I'll have to look at it one of these days.
Yeah, it was Tunic. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I need to be paying more attention to you, David. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, we can bring up more successful Kickstarters that haven't come out yet, like Star Citizen.
Oh Jesus. That's like 10 years too, isn't it?
Wow.
2010 was when that one started.
Wow.
So we're going on 14 years for that one, but it was
Wow.
also, I think it's got like the record. I think it's like sitting at $500 million is what was crowdfunded.
Wow. $500 million. No game.
Yeah. Yep. $500 million as of September 2022. That's how much they've raised from people. And I know earlier this year they had released a video for a ship that's going to go for $64,000 if you want to be able to play it in the game.
Nope.
Jeez.
We were just talking earlier how we have no money to buy these games, Chris.
Well, hey, maybe if this video hits it big, we'll start seeing the money roll in, and then we can all buy $64,000 digital ships.
Well, Dathan's buying expensive Transformers.
Just one.
Were there any exclusive Transformers that they made just for the con?
Yes, there were, but they weren't really sought out after when the show opened. They were still there on the second day, so it wasn't, people weren't running to get them or anything like that. And there were a few that they released, I think, 2 months early, but they'll still come out to the general public in 2 months.
Interesting. Huh. All right. I'm definitely out of the loop for that kind of stuff. But I was glad to see that you did take a picture of some GoBots. So
yeah, cool. there were some GoBots that were there, and they were very expensive.
Really?
Very expensive.
Oh man,
they were.
Wow.
A couple of them were $100 or something.
I don't know if you guys saw the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire popcorn bucket for Regal Cinemas. It's going to be a ghost trap.
I got my tickets for Thursday, bro.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Well, there's some other ones. There's a Slimer one too by AMC.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to say.
I think.
So AMC had the Dune bucket that everybody wanted.
Right.
Right. You can buy it on eBay.
For whatever reasons they wanted it.
Well, did you see who sent me that meme? You're at the movie theater and you buy the Dune popcorn bucket, and then you go, but you're going to see that spider movie,
Madam Web.
Madam Web. Yeah, you go to see Madam Web, but you're buying the Dune popcorn bucket. No questions asked, bro.
No.
Did you see the video of the guy that actually was riding a sandworm in the lobby?
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, like no one else is like in line to watch the movie or whatever, but he's just still in there, just riding around.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I still haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping to watch it next week if I can.
Dude,
hoping
to catch up.
I know. I still don't have time.
There was one I'd seen of a guy. It's like calling the New York desert worm, and he's in the subway system with his umbrella pumping it up and down like he's trying to call it.
That's his thumper.
Back to that Ghostbusters movie. Did you guys see they had the premiere in New York City yesterday? They dressed up the old firehouse. Like they put the Ghostbusters sign. They made it like frozen, and then the side of the building, um, they put like icicles on the side. It looks so cool, and
That's
I'm
cool.
jealous of the people that were able to go to it. If you ever go to New York City, you definitely need to go see the firehouse. It's an actual working fire station there. But it sounds like the new movie, they filmed it all in London and they completely rebuilt the firehouse in London for this
Wow.
movie. So that's impressive. Um, but the rumor I'm hearing about this movie is that maybe Rick Moranis is in this movie.
Oh, I hope so.
Really?
I will lose it if that happens.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that I'm trying not to see any spoilers because people have obviously seen the movie now, but oh, that would be great. That would be great. Make me happy,
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters people. That's what
You
you
got to
need
go
to do.
dark for a week.
Right.
No online at all.
Yeah. No show next week, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and so I'm seeing it on Thursday. So next week if we do the show, I will give you the goods. I won't spoil it, but if it's worth it or not, guys.
Cool.
You got me watching movies again. Forget playing
Yeah,
video
dude.
games. We're making this a movie show now. So, all right. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. It's been a good show. You guys have any final thoughts? Dathan?
I don't really have anything. If you haven't watched Shogun yet, make sure you get off your asses and watch it. That's all I got. I got a half marathon on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Have a great week of gaming, everybody.
Are you on a special diet for the marathon right now? Like, are you eating
Not
carbs
today,
or?
tomorrow will be probably drink maybe 2 gallons of water throughout the day. And then carbo load at night, and then Sunday morning I'll have just like protein bar or whatever, and then go do the thing.
Yeah. Good luck. That sounds awesome.
Thank you. On paper it sounds awesome, but 6 miles in, yeah, it's not.
Do you have a Apple Watch or something to track all your steps and all that?
Yeah, I got Apple Watch, and I just plug my AirPod Pros in, and then I just go.
Nice.
And track everything. It's actually pretty close. The watch is pretty within 25 to 50 feet of the actual mile markers. So which is pretty accurate, which is good. So it gives me a good estimate of where I am on the course and how much farther I got to go.
Great. That's awesome.
Thank
Hopefully you get good weather too.
Yes, I hope so. It's supposed to be nice.
Eric, any final thoughts, sir? Thanks for coming
Let's
on.
see. Yeah, no sweat. Love being here. I am 2 levels away from beating Darkest Dungeon. Wish me luck. And then I'll start this war of mine. I mentioned that a few times ago, a couple shows ago. Bought that for pretty cheap, so I'll give that a go next.
Great. Chris?
Well, I watched Your Name. It's an anime movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Mm-mm.
It essentially is this boy and girl.
Is there a samurai?
No, there's no samurai, but this boy and girl swap bodies. And so they're like trying to figure out, because when they wake up, neither one of them remembers who they were, but there's like this emotional attachment that starts to form over the period of the movie. And so they're trying to figure out the name of each other as it goes on. It's a pretty fascinating like science fiction movie.
Real quick, did you guys watch the Oscars?
No, not this one.
I watched some highlights of it.
Oh man, that ending with Al Pacino was really weird. But I guess they meant him to do that. Like he just went into the card and he told everyone what the that Oppenheimer one, but it was all right. Um, my wife was happy. There was a lot of Barbie songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Al Pacino thing, it comes out 10 nominees. My eyes see Oppenheimer.
I still need to watch Oppenheimer.
And then, of course, he had to come out and say the producers told him to do that. I think it really was just Al Pacino is like, I'm old. I don't give a shit. Here's the winner.
Well, it seemed like they had him on in the Game Awards last year, and he did something weird there too.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but whatever.
He's not getting younger.
No, he's in his 80s. Do whatever you want, I guess. Hopefully we get there too.
As Danny DeVito says, I'm getting older and things are going to get weirder.
True story. True story.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for hanging in there through technical difficulties. I want to figure out why we all lost power here in Salem, Chris. So that was wild, but I'm glad the show kept on going without us, and I appreciate it. So give this video a like if you're still watching. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. So thanks, guys. It's been awesome.
Peace, guys.
Take care.
See you next week.